We are live. Dawn here with Romance Happy Hour. And of course, I am joined by Dylan, and I did it right this
You
time.
did.
This
I know
way.
it's always opposite, so I have to go that way. I know it's always opposite. Hello,
I'm
happy
joined by
Thursday.
Dylan. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good.
You've got your
Busy.
daughter going off to college soon. Your other's starting school in a month-ish, less than a month-ish.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm seeing like all of these, first day of school posts from people
I
that
know.
live I don't know. I mean, I think Texas they've posted and Colorado they
Mhm.
posted and my kids still they don't even go back to school till after Labor Day. So it still feels like,
Yeah.
we've got like another month of summer almost to go. But
Yeah. Mine have a couple weeks, and my 9-year-old is counting down the days. He made up his own calendar, and so he's like Xing off the days. So apparently he likes school, which is good, I
well,
think.
that's
So
good. That's
yeah.
good.
But
So,
so
yes.
what are you working on?
I have been working on, let's see, I just turned in copy edits on book 2 in my Cowboys in Paradise series, which is so weird because, book 1 isn't even out yet, but it comes out August 23rd. So I'll have a new
Woohoo.
release in just a couple weeks, less than 2 weeks. And then I've been working on book 2 in the Whiskey War series. So lots of writing going on, among trying to fit that all in, among trying to get a kid ready for first year of college and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So how about you, Dawn? What are you up to?
I I just finalized the release date for a cowboy book, and it's going to be November, I believe, 7th of 2023. And
Oh my
that's
gosh.
exciting. It's in a world. No, it's not a cowboy. It's a hero. Sorry. It's a rescue hero book. I am going to do
Is he
another
a
cowboy
cowboy?
book. It's small town. I mean, they're all small town are cowboy. I just got to say that. Like they pretty much are. I mean,
That is not
they're
true. I mean, if
not.
you have like a small town in
They're not,
Vermont,
but they
they're probably not
are.
cowboys.
Yeah,
Or
well,
a
a small
small
town in
town like
Montana.
in Australia by JF or, like
True.
small California
Yeah.
town, they're probably not cowboys.
We'll say small town Montana. I mean, they
Okay,
they
got
may
it.
not be cowboys, but they're also cowboys. I mean, they just are. I mean,
Okay. Sorry,
anyways, I got a
I'm
small
feeling
town.
feisty
He's a
tonight,
rescue hero. He's the
It's
chief of the fire department. So,
okay.
uh-huh. And so I just finalized that, and I'm trying to get on with this other world for cowboys. Um, and yeah, just plotting, planning, writing, finally writing some words. My husband wondered why I was so excited the other day, like that I came in and I woke him up with a kiss on the cheek and all this. And he's like, "What's gotten into you?" And I'm just like, I wrote some words this morning. That's what's gotten.
Always a good feeling when you're writing words.
Yeah. So we are joined, and I have a surprise for Deanna. Not our other Deanna, Deanna Dent. Um, we have an Australian author here today, JF Lowe. She is from Australia, correct? JF?
I still am.
Yes.
Oh, I thought she was just faking that accent for you, Dawn.
No, Aussie accent. The I'll say hillbilly accent from Brisbane, Australia.
Oh my gosh. Give us
Sounds
both.
good.
Can you?
Sounds good to us.
Can you do both for us?
Or the hillbilly accent or the American
Yeah.
accent. I
The
do the y'all.
hillbilly. Okay.
Oh, the hillbilly is anything from where I come from in central Queensland. It is not the typical "g'day, mate." It's like, "What you been doing?" Nah, yeah, nah, yeah, nah. That's fairly typical. Or mate, where you been, mate? Come on, mate. And that's pretty much continuous. You can have a whole conversations of mate. And part of that, I've perfected a few things from spending some time in the US, but most of it's been in Texas. So I do know that saying "bless your heart" is not
Yeah.
exactly what I expected.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh my
It's like
gosh.
I tell people it's like aloha. It can have lots of different meanings depending on your tone and intention. So
Yeah.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
my first experience with that was I have this Southern friend, and she's from Alabama, Southern, and just the sweetest woman ever. And then we were out at fast food restaurant, and the boys were playing on the the little play area, and somebody started picking on her son, and heard her say bless your heart, and I was just like, oh, that's what it means.
Hmm. That's it. That's
And
it.
of course, so to move on, Sabine, we have Sabine Barclay. She's kind of back, but kind of not. She's back with a new personality. Tell us about Sabine.
Hi, I usually write as Celeste Barclay for historical romance, but at the end of June, I launched this new contemporary mafia pen name. And so I'm hanging out with you guys today as Sabine for mafia. I've been here before as Celeste for historical romance, but I'm super excited to join you guys again. And JF, I actually have family in Australia. I have a cousin in Melbourne and a cousin in Byron Bay. So I'm quite familiar. And let me just say, for any Aussies out there, I'm still recovering from the trauma that is Neighbours ending. I was very emotional. I'm still trying to get past that. If anybody tells me that Home and Away is canceled, I may just melt down. I can't handle that. So just to put that out there.
About that far from being cancelled. They are the two longest TV series. It's kind of like your Bold and the Beautiful and your Days of Our Lives, but Australian.
Yeah, I mean,
know
I
we're
go
good.
way back to like Kylie Minogue before the locomotion. Like that's
Yeah.
my childhood summers in England with my granny watching Neighbours and then Home and Away. And if we weren't home, we put it on the VCR. So for those Aussies out there, I feel you. Like to me, it's a national
gotta
calamity.
I didn't watch it that much. We did as children, but not that much. I remember when Kylie got married and things like that to Jason Donovan, but outside of that, I have a cousin that watches it every single night until the very last night, and I'm sure he used that many boxes of tissues because they all came back in cameos. So yes, it is something that was huge from Australia, especially in the UK. The UK
Yes.
loved it.
Yeah, that's where I used to watch it. And it was wonderful because I would leave and come back every summer and I could pick up right where I left off every year.
Like Days of Our Lives and Bold and the Beautiful. They just never
Exactly.
end.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Deanna, you have a question. I can see in the chat. How many pen names do I have? 2. That's enough for me right now. I don't know what the future holds, but I am still learning how to juggle 2, especially in very different genres, one being historical, one being contemporary. I'm learning to respond to either name and trying to keep track of who I am each day. So 2.
We were literally just talking about this right before we came on.
Yes.
It was
Well, and
picking the name for you.
I think some readers might, wonder, why do authors have more than one pen name? And, in a lot of cases, it's because if you are writing something vastly different, like historical and, like dark mafia romance, you want to make sure that, the different retailers, the book websites and stuff, don't, that they get trained so that they're showing your books to the right people, because there might be readers that do enjoy reading both genres, but there also might be readers who don't. So I know oftentimes readers are like, oh my gosh, why is there another, why is this person writing under another name? But that's one reason. There are many, many reasons, but I think that one makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I wanted to keep the 2 close. That's why I kept the same last name, same soft sound at the beginning, so that it's easily recognizable that I am both of those people. It's not a secret that I'm both of those people, but I know that my readership won't cross over a lot. And so I don't want it to be confusing for people as to what type of book they're looking for. The writing style is still me. It's still similar, but the genres are very different. And then, on the technical backside of it, like Dylann said, so that the retailers understand who they should be offering these books to, and it's not confusing their system.
Yeah. But can I say Sabine? Am I saying it's right, Sabine?
Yeah.
I know you guys have okay. I love your covers. Like, do you have one that we can show, or should I look one up and post it? Because oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Love your covers for your entire series. Great.
They
It's
are
stunning.
really hot. And my cover artist did an amazing job with them. And I'm just like, oh, just sit and look at my own computer and look at my own books and drool over them for a little while. They just keep getting better and better. The guys that she picked, the way that she personalized them, the color scheme in the background. Yeah, she hit them out of the park.
And I love the Bratva, like the Bratva type, like Bratva. Yeah. What's that one that you showed us? Is that the one you're reading from?
Yes, it's the very first book. It released at the end of, I can never know which way to turn my hands, at the end of June. And then I just had the second book released this week. So, but yes, I will read from that when it's my turn.
Awesome.
Great.
Well, with that, JF, you're going to go first, right?
I will.
So and what are you reading from?
I'm actually reading from Seducing Vegas.
Ooh.
Ooh, I love that one too.
This one actually is from, inspired by my 2019 trip to the US. Just before COVID hit, I'd spent just over 6 months living in the US with my husband, traveling around doing a whole heap of author events. So it was, if anyone knows, the Flamingo Hotel in the middle of the Vegas Strip. Mm-hmm. That's what inspired this and the whole Bugsy and everything like that, because we spent a lot of time in the hotel. I'll say spending our Aussie dollars on a very low rate. But the dollar conversion for us is beyond ridiculous. But so I'm going to be talking about my little friend Harrison Segal. So
I have a pre-question. So did you come up with this series while you were on that vacation, or did you come up with it afterwards? Did your inspiration come from the casinos? I mean, guess that's really the root of the questions.
It's like four questions, Dawn.
I know.
That's all right. It's one of those ones where it did happen from that entire trip. So it actually started off, I worked backwards when I did write the books, but it actually came to me while we were sitting in Washington, D.C. in the hotel in Arlington. And we were sitting there and I just went, these are books. Everything we've been through, these are books. The people that we'd met, the places we'd been, every single, I suppose, little thing that we went through, I picked out pieces and went, right, that needs to go into a book. Going through the Capitol. So I've got one called Seducing the Capitol. We went to the Capitol building back in 2019. Obviously, things have changed since then, but our experience was, for an Australian, mesmerizing, walking through, finding out all the different presidents. Then when we went to the Lincoln Memorial, it was the middle of summer. I just about died of heat stroke and the humidity. It was amazing. The Smithsonian gets discussed. When we went to Austin, I have one called Seducing Austin. We actually went and had a swim at Barton Springs. So one of the scenes in the book is about Barton Springs. And I actually fell over at Barton Springs and just about knocked myself out. And that situation's actually in the book. And we went through and even right up until now in the Darkest Desires that I've got with Sabine, I've actually taken a little bit of that when we went to San Francisco. And that was actually the very first location we had in the US. So where we'd actually stayed and we spent a week and spent out my very first 4th of July in San Francisco, which was a very interesting experience. I must admit, the first American saloon was a very different experience to what I had expected. So it's we have the opposite. We have Australia Day, and that is beach, cricket, and a whole heap of drinking. Whereas yours is fireworks and certainly that family sort of feel. But yeah, every single location has a book, and there is more coming out. So the moment we have Seducing Austin, Seducing Philly, so we spent some time in Philadelphia, Seducing Vegas, We then went on to New York, and so I had one in Wall Street. And we happened to meet a particular person walking out of the stock exchange, and I was just blown away because I'm standing there and literally ran into the man. Had no idea, and my character was an Aussie lady running into a guy from Wall Street. I tripped over him to the point where if it wasn't for the fact that he was so polite, I would have physically had words with him because he was too busy on his phone.
Yeah.
And it continued on. So our trip was absolutely fantastic. I could not have asked for anything more.
And I think this is a. Go ahead, Dylan.
I was just going to say, it sounds like you're probably more well-traveled across America than a lot of Americans.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we did spend a lot of time traveling around, but I think the experience of we tried to Airbnb a lot of things, so we got to know people as we went, and a lot of those were with share houses essentially. So we wanted the experience. By sitting back and just doing hotels, we wouldn't have learnt anything about the cultural difference, because there is a major cultural difference. We may all speak English, we may have the underlying values of everything, but the massive difference. Hence why I said before, the whole bless your heart and things like that, the different meanings behind things.
Right.
Food, even food. Like we went to Popeyes the first time, and I was like, okay, this is definitely a different way to have fried chicken. And tacos in Texas, the best torchies, the best tacos I've ever had anywhere in the world. And I've been over 180 countries.
Wow.
I'm from Southern California. I disagree. We have the best tacos.
You have the best California tacos. Texas has the best Texas tacos.
I mean, I feel like now we need to have like a contest. Like
we might.
I wish we could have California tacos and Texas tacos right now and like taste test. I would totally
I'd be down for that.
San Diego. Yeah. We were in San Diego in February when I was doing a signing, and we did have tacos. I'm sorry, but Texas still beat it.
I live in San Diego. No.
It does variate, because I tried to have them in Chicago and they were the worst ones I've ever tasted.
You get pizza and hot dogs in Chicago, not tacos.
Yeah, pizza and hot dogs.
That's like Philly steaks. Everyone went on about Philly steaks, and you can only get them in Philadelphia, and they're going to be the best. The best Philly steak I had was not in Philadelphia. So it's one of those ones. It is very different from place to place. So yeah. And it's what your homegrown thing is. Like here in Australia, we have a place called Bunnings. It's like your version of Lowe's, but we do sausage sizzles every Saturday morning for a charity, and it is literally a beef sausage and a piece of bread that we close over, put a bit of sauce on, your version of ketchup, and we eat it. And that is one of the most staple items of food in Australia. If you don't have a Bunnings sausage on a Saturday, it's un-Australian. And it's funny because it's so simple, so easy.
Okay, so I will be heading to San Diego in a month for my son's boot camp graduation.
Oh,
where do I go get tacos? Thank you.
We're Marine Corps family too.
Excited. I got to talk to him today, but that's a different story. Where do I go get tacos in San Diego then? Let's ask that one.
I don't know. I'll take you and get tacos somewhere. You have time. I'll bring you tacos down to the depot. I seriously do not live that far from the depot. I'll bring your whole family tacos.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. We need to have coffee then. Just let me know.
Absolutely.
So Sabine, you live in San Diego, or you live?
I do. I live in northern San Diego. So I take it personally when you talk about our tacos. And I'm a transplant too. There's not a whole lot of things that I'm like super loyal about when it comes to California. But our tacos, I have developed, and burritos, I have developed an affinity for them. So just tell me if you want beef, pork, chicken, whatever. I will find you street tacos and I'll bring them for you.
I
Oh
feel
my
like
gosh,
the
that's awesome.
tacos in San Diego are probably healthier than the tacos that we get in
Probably.
Texas because they're not smothered in cheese and
I'm pretty much certain that everything in America is healthier than what you get in Texas. I mean, they are all about that southern. I mean, butter. I mean, come on.
that's more the deep.
Jalapeno, the poppers with the cheese and the
That's
They are
it's not real
fantastic.
Mexican food, Dawn.
I didn't say that was Mexican. I said it was Texan.
All right,
I
we
love
should
it.
probably get to some reading.
We
don't you think?
should.
20
Yes.
minutes in,
So
all we've done is make people hungry. So
I know. All right. So JF, are you ready to read for us?
I will. So that was Seducing
Okay.
Vegas. So I am going to, and you'll have to excuse my accent because it may not come across exactly the same as what you would read it for yourself. So it will be starting from chapter 1. And as I said, it is based on my trip to Las Vegas, and in the middle of the street is the Flamingo Hotel. So in chapter 1, we're starting off as Harrison Segal was living the life. Hot women, fast cars, high-stakes gambling, and the best alcohol that money could buy. What more could a guy want? Absolutely nothing. Harrison decided empathetically that he poured himself another shot and looked down from the hotel balcony onto the pulsing, beating heart of the city. It was his favorite time of the night, when the scorching Nevada heat finally died down for a few precious hours. One day it would all be his. One day he would be looking down from the penthouse of the chateau, his family's casino. Not for the first time, he rolled his glass in his hand, gave a serious thought to his future. Fears, insecurities, the dread of drowning when thrust over his head, and detached the sense of frustration with his father, that unexpected but never understood. But then he crushed those thoughts and took another drink. He didn't drink to wash away darker thoughts. He didn't sleep with a newer and more beautiful woman every night to make himself forget. Those were the actions of a weak man, and he was anything but weak. The problem with indulging in the best whiskey around, he mused to himself, as they turned away and stumbled back to his hotel room, was one he tended to build up a bit of a tolerance. It was more and more to get to sleep each time. No, it took more and more to get drunk. He corrected his lumber and over to the bed, where a pair of pears rose and fell in the light sleep. It had been a good night so far. What was the redhead's name? Rose? It's probably not his real name, but it looked so good up on the stage where he'd find out what half as provocative in bed. It was to everyone's mutual pleasure she had been. The blonde, though... Excuse me for a moment. The blonde, though, she had been a bit let down. All the sexual flirting down on the dance floor had quickly fallen apart in the bedroom, where she'd been as shy as she could be. Oh well, there was still a little bit of fun, and it was showing an inexperienced girl how good it could be. Plus, Harrison took small measure of perverse pleasure in the notion that he would have ruined the girl's relation going forward. Every time she was with a man, she would look back and sigh wistfully of him. Harrison knew he wasn't a good person. He knew it was in his bones. Because after all, what could he do with the alternative possibility? His father wasn't a good person. The world around him didn't make him a good person, and the good people never got what they wanted in life. The real question lately had been a matter of figuring out just what a kind of bad person he wanted. But there was much enough for the ramifications for later. For now, he had a third round to enjoy, or was it the fourth?
Oh my gosh.
She kind of captured me right away. With
Yeah.
this guy looking out over the strip. So
I loved it. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I need to know what happens next.
Yeah.
All right. I was going to look at some of the comments.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of questions already. So do you you want to do a couple questions and then?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, let me see. We've got, let me go back up to the top. Sorry, I didn't have them marked yet. Everybody's talking about food. So,
well, we love food.
Where is it? Okay. Linda wants to know, how do you find or make time to write?
Well, for me, I'm now a full-time author. So, but LF, go ahead.
No, that's right. For me, it's a little bit more difficult at the moment. I have some medical things going on, so I'm actually only spending about an hour on the computer at a time at the moment, if that. So I have actually set myself up. So I'm gotten up to 2024 already written, and basically have a future plan. And I am working at the moment on Kindle Valor, where I only have a chapter each week, and most of that is written to potentially then write into a full book for later. So I'm only having to worry about in between that 600 words to that 5,000 word maximum, which is very possible.
Oh, I wish I was up to your level. I got 4 kids and I can't even get.
I got 3.
Oh my gosh.
3. My oldest just got his learner's permit yesterday. So he's off to start driving very soon, which watch out, world, because my son's going to be on the road. And my youngest is 12. So I've been lucky enough, though, that because I write full time, it allows me to get through. And I had a lot of late nights, and I have an amazing PA. So if it wasn't for her, the rest of it wouldn't get done.
But
yeah, shout out to Sarah. I know she's watching tonight.
Yeah.
Yes, she is. She's checking in on me.
Can I say though, like you have almost all teenagers. I mean, 12 is basically teenager, right? So I feel for you, and I give you all the props because I have one. Well, I have 2, but that guy's gone. The first one's gone to boot camp. I have my daughter is a teenager right now, and I'm just like, she's killing me. She's killing me. So props to you for even being sane with 3.
My youngest is a redheaded teenager. She's a girl that is going into what we call high school. You guys have middle school and so forth, but we only have primary school and high school. So it starts at grade 7, and we are going through the moment of it's like, talk to the hand, mum. I don't want to listen. I'm the little princess queen, and that doesn't work with me. Dad, it might, but not with mum. So I'm always the bad guy in the situation, whereas my oldest is going off to the army. So because I'm former forces myself, I'm former Navy.
Me too. Oh my gosh, you're like my soul sister here. So yeah, love you.
One of those moments where it's the heart's beating out of the chest. He said it to me, and I went, "Okay, mate, I understand. It's what I wanted to do. I went to the Navy." But now that idea of going, he finishes high school very shortly, then he'll be deployed. And it's like, I'm not sure about that one. Mum starts the border work. So
yeah. So do they do a boot camp too?
They do. So we have, if it was Navy, we have a recruit school. So we go through that. That's months. And then we go on to, if it was the Navy, a seamanship. and works out what division you're going to be in. So officially, I'm a combat systems operator. So basically, like your aircraft navigator, so control navigator. Whereas he wants to go in as mechanic, so he'll go through and do basically an apprenticeship or a degree in becoming a motor diesel mechanic. And if he doesn't do that, he's going to be in infantry, so he will be front line. So that one's a little bit more scary for me, but that's what he's lived his whole life. So, and where we come from is very military area. So it's kind of to be expected. Most of our kids go off and join the military. So it is what it is.
So most of our viewers know, but I was Coast Guard. I was a gunner's mate in the Coast Guard. So I taught people how to shoot and clean guns and maintain them and stuff. And my son is joining the Marines, which for us is kind of like in the middle of the Navy and the Army. They kind of do both. And he's currently at boot camp. And I got to say, his boot camp sounds a lot more fun than mine did, even though it's more challenging because he gets to do like defensive driving and combat training and taekwondo and all that. And so,
it's the same sort of thing here. We did a lot of weapons for what I did. Certainly things like we did what you would call hierarchy. So we did a lot of scaling of high buildings and things, because when you're working on a ship, you could be on a destroyer and be anywhere on that destroyer. But my son originally, if he can get through either the infantry or the mechanical side, would like to go to our SAS. So and I'm not sure if you've heard of SAS, but we are talking very much Black Ops type thing. And
that
one's a little more scary for mum.
I've heard of that. Yeah, my son currently, he's going military police, and then you know, he had talked about maybe trying to lateral over to the Navy SEALs, but then he also wants to maybe get out and be a police officer. So it's all I feel for you. I feel for you.
They're so young.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah,
that's it. You just need to be happy at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's a whole new experience being on the mom side.
Are you? Through the same thing. Oh, my husband's a Marine. He's not active duty anymore. My son just graduated high school. He's looking at boot camp here in California. Wants to go infantry or a combat engineer. So yeah, we're in the thick of that too. So, and if you know the Marine Corps, I will have an East Coast Marine and a West Coast Marine. And I just tell the rivalry and the conversations they're going to have, you know. I've been married for 19 years. I've heard these conversations before, but not always in my home. And I just know that they're coming. So we'll see.
I got to say, though, like being the mom is a whole new ballpark, because I was the active duty. I was the wife of a drill instructor. And now I'm the mom of a recruit. And it's like I'm that person that used to annoy me when my husband was a drill instructor. I'm like that. I was like, why can't those moms just back off and stop like asking questions and wanting to be like there? And now I'm just like, any information, give me information. My son is there. Give me information. So so but we digress, because we are so close to needing we need some more questions here, Dylann.
Yes.
Before I talk more.
Sabine did not get to answer. How do you find a way to write?
I'm now a full-time author. I left the classroom. I was a full-time teacher. I left the classroom December of 2019, before everything exploded and imploded. I do not have a second site. It just, I had some health stuff going on. And so it was the right time for me to segue out. And so now I write full time. So, you know, my husband still works for the government. He leaves the house before 6. So I'm usually up and at it between 5:30 and 6. And then I just work. You know, this is my day job. So I put in as many hours as I can, you know, and that's it. But before I was a full-time author, I wrote if I was done prepping my lessons during my planning period, I would get some words in. I do it during lunch. I do it in the school car pickup line when my kids were at swim practice and their heads were in the water, 8 to 11 at night, all day on the weekends, whatever I could pilfer here and there, I was at it. But now it's my day and night and weekend job because I don't know how to tell myself no.
Yeah.
Apparently, no is not a complete sentence to myself. It is to other people. I can say it to other people. Can't say it to myself.
I gotta say that's me too. So I don't know if that's all authors or just like a select few, but me, I'm yeah, I'm the same way.
I think it's the all author thing. It's one of those ones where you want to dedicate every moment you can to it. It's your baby.
Yeah. It's
I have a
therapy.
very hard time switching off. I have a very hard time telling myself, okay, just because your laptop is there doesn't mean you need to be working. You can, Netflix and Netflix and chill. I'm drinking water, y'all, I swear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think it's also, I mean, if you're looking at your, author business as a business, when you're self-employed like that, it's because I have owned a business, before I became an author too, and it's just always there, and there's always a million things to do. It's never done. And I know a lot of jobs are like that too, but when you're working from home and it's all right there, and there's so many things left to do all the time, it just never feels like you never get through that to-do list. So.
Well, and have you seen that meme of the cartoon of the author on vacation, and she's like on the beach chair and she's like reading a book and she's like, but her brain bubble is like going off about, oh my gosh, this would be such a great book, and then she starts plotting. You haven't seen that? Okay, I'm gonna have to find it and I'll text it to you.
I know the feeling. I definitely know the feeling.
Yep. Oh, funny. All right, let's see. Deanna wants to know specifically for JF, have you ever written a book set in Australia or your hometown, or do you prefer to write about other countries?
No, I have. I wrote a whole series regarding being in the military and starting it off in Melbourne. And it is one of those ones where I started recruit school in the Navy. And it is one that is not PG-13. So it is a Masters of Highclere, and it's based around a BDSM club. So I won't go too far into it. But it is one that has taken me along the journey to get where I am now. It went from being in Melbourne through to Sydney, because I also lived in Sydney for quite some time. And then it's traveled around Australia, and then it's also combined with places in the US. So we actually then do some stuff with US military, because I know a number of people in the US military, and just kind of combine things in there. And then once we started doing a lot more with US, because most of my readership is in the US, I would say 90% of my readership is in the US. We kind of went more leaning towards the US. However, I have a world that comes into seduction in the city, which is seducing Vegas and Austin and so forth. And one of my authors that are writing in is starting to do Australia. So they're picking cities in Australia that they've lived in or been to. So we do cross over a lot, but most of my stuff now is the US.
Nice. Well, make sure you send me that link for your one that's like the military one, because I totally want to read that. I want to read that.
Yes, it's all being recovered at the moment, so it is actually coming out very shortly with all new covers. And
Nice.
my PA Sarah will probably kick my butt for this later, but it has got some. I had some interviews while I was in LA, and it's going a bit further than that, so it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting. So
nice.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, things go from there.
All right, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
All right, let me do
Dylann,
one more. Oh,
okay.
Sorry, I was going to do one more, and then we will move on.
Okay.
Karen wants to know, where do the names for your characters come from? So, Sabine, you want to answer that one first, and then we'll.
For me especially, on my historical side, I tend to look up and research Scottish names. Otherwise, I would be using like the same three, and they would all be Malcolm and Donald and Andrew. Yeah. So I do research because for some reason, Malcolm is the one that I always default to. And so if I had my druthers, I'd have, 34 books all with Malcolms in them. So I have to look those up. Then for my Mafia books, I had a couple of Russian male hero names in mind. And then I also researched as well to find some other ones. And then some of them are just names that I've always liked. And so I have been able to slide them in here and there. So it's kind of a combination, but I definitely have to look them up or else it gets stale and it would be very repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And how about you, JF?
Mine are varieties. So my mafia side of things. So I've got Seducing Chicago, which is Italian mafia, and what I'm writing in Kindevella at the moment on Modern Day Sins. It was go through and research and look at names that are associated with Italian mafia and so forth. The rest are ones where I've randomly just gone, I love that name. Or I come across somebody in real life and I go, that is you, that is my character. One of my particular characters is actually the finance guy on my news, which was the spitting image of who I wanted for the cover. He was extremely good looking and he talks finance. So that was my Seducing Wall Street. Even though I met Wall Street and my arrogant guy in Wall Street that was too busy on his phone, but then spoke politely. So it is one of those ones. It depends upon the person. So Harrison was somebody I met in Las Vegas, and that's where Seducing Vegas character came from. So once again, really polite, offered to buy me a drink, not realizing my husband was sitting right beside me. And my husband just went, well, if you're tipping the person and not me, that's fine. But yeah, it was one of those funny moments of we do pick up characters along the way, and it just suits that particular person.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
All right. Well, we will put Sabine up. I can't wait to hear from you. And you are up.
Awesome. So I am reading the opening chapter from Brought the Darling. And forgive me because this is not a PG-13 book. So I will be editing myself, or what's the word I'm looking for? Bleeping myself. So if I stumble for a second, it's my brain trying to catch up with an alternative word for what's really written on the page. That said, here we go. Chapter 1, Laura. As I sit across from the 4 Kutsenko brothers, I press my lips together to keep from drooling. No 4 men should be so strikingly handsome, not all from the same family, anyway. I fight a valiant battle against letting my gaze drift towards the eldest, Maxim, whose ice blue eyes bore into me. After years of negotiating billion-dollar investment contracts while facing countless ruthless businessmen, I've learned to keep my expression studiously blank, but it's a true struggle today. Instead, I focus my attention on the squirrely lawyer sitting across the conference table. While he's disingenuous with each comment, he's a good negotiator, but I'm better. How cliche am I? While I feel Maxim watching me, I focus on Dmitry Yakovich as he continues to argue the merits of the venture capitalist company I represent, RK Capital Group, merging with Kutsenko Partners. What he means is the merits of Kutsenko Partners acquiring RK Capital Group, then stripping it and making it another money laundering shell corporation. While most people in New York have little awareness of the Russian mafia, I do. The Kutsenko brothers' name appear on no titles or deeds anywhere in New York City, but it wasn't difficult to determine which shell companies likely belong to them. Their assumption that I'm unfamiliar with them is proving beneficial to me as they continue to whisper amongst themselves in Russian. I think they may even believe they're convincing me that they don't speak much English. The senior partners at RK Group know who I'm negotiating with, though they may not know I'm aware of these Russians' more nefarious operations. They've given me the go-ahead to agree to a merger with an eventual acquisition, but only for the right price, a price to the tune of $20 billion. Considering an investment firm like Goldman Sachs is worth nearly $120 billion, my clients are asking price appears reasonable. Mr. Yakovich, I shall stop you now. I raise my left hand, pen caught between my index and middle fingers. When I have his attention, I lean back in my chair and casually twirl the pen over my index finger and thumb. $50 billion is my client's asking price. You know that. Your clients know that. RK doesn't oppose the merger. What they oppose is the insulting offer you've made. It's nearly noon, and I'm hungry, Mr. Yakovich. I have a delicious ham sandwich waiting for me. I even have 3 chocolate chip cookies waiting for me. If we aren't going to make any progress, I shall let you go so I can move on to my eagerly anticipated lunch. I cant my head just enough for me to appear as though my gaze rests solely on the opposing attorney's face, but I can see each Kutsenko brother's reaction. My face battles yet again against showing my emotions as I fight not to smirk. Their muted but surprised expressions confirm what I already know. Please tell your clients to make a reasonable counteroffer, or I will conclude this meeting and enjoy my ham sandwich and cookies. Dmitry glares at me before turning to Maxim and his 3 brothers. In rapid Russian, he doesn't interpret my suggestion. Oh no, there's no need for that. I can't catch every word because his voice is too low, but I catch something along the lines of the bee refuses to budge. What now? An effing ham sandwich? More like a stick up her backside. Maxim swivels his chair to look at his brothers. In Russian, he says, 50 billion is ridiculous. She's not so stupid or naive not to know that. My guess is they'll settle for 20 billion. We offer 15. That's barely better than what we already offered, Alexei, the second oldest brother, argues. She'll be eating the effing sandwich and dipping her cookies in milk before we walk out the door. We need the buildings. We offer 20, Max, Bogdan, the youngest, insists. As I watch the brothers discuss, their voices barely lowered, I pull my lunch sack from the black leather satchel by my feet and set it beside my laptop. It's a ridiculously pink floral bag with an embroidered monogram, the L and D overlapping. It's an empty prop, but they don't know that. I watch as 5 sets of eyes narrow. I offer a smile that would appear innocent in any setting other than this meeting. It's patronizing, and I know it. Fine, 20, Maxim concedes. Dmitry turns back to me, shooting me a smug glare. 20 billion, he offers in English. 50, I shoot back. I'm not lowering my counteroffer yet. My clients may be willing to accept peanuts because they fear these Russian businessmen, but I don't. Ms. Doyle, be reasonable. I am. The company is valued at 55 billion. I'm offering you a bargain. I unzip the lunch bag. I won't do more than that. There's a fine line between patronizing and stupid. 25, Dmitry blurts. Maxim's fingers curl slightly on the table. None of the brothers approve that amount. Dmitry cocks an eyebrow, to which Maxim's full lips purse. Are you going to tell your clients what you just bid? I ask as I return to twirling my pen. They authorized me to continue negotiating. No, they didn't. Very well, 40. You do realize that you're supposed to go down while I come up. I came down. It was 50. Now it's 40. I stare into Dmitry's eyes, unblinking and unnerving him. But the thing with negotiations is someone eventually gets to the point where they won't budge. I seem to have gotten there first. I lean back once more, casting a glance at my lunch, and release a soft sigh. Just a moment. Dmitry turns back to the Kutsenkos, switching to Russian. Now what? We'll be here all day at this rate, effing ham sandwich or not. 40 is reasonable. My guess is her clients agreed to 25, Maxim replies. 40 is still a steal, and she looks like the type to walk and have a new buyer before she drives home tonight. Nikolai, the 3rd oldest brother, finally speaks up. We need the buildings. Fine, Maxim concedes further. Ms. Doyle, my clients agree to 40 billion. They still expect RK Capital Group to adopt their name and operate under their directive. That sounds a lot like an acquisition, not a merger, I reply. The name changes. They operate under Kutsenko Partners auspices, but the company's day-to-day operations remain under RK's control. Those were the terms. You and I both know an acquisition is only months away. That may well be, but you offered my client a merger. If you wanted this to go faster, then you shouldn't have played a game. You're not winning. I gather the documents in front of me and stand. I move to the side of the conference table across from the four brothers. As I hand the documents first to Maxim, I wait as his hand clasps the bottom. I don't withhold my smirk anymore. Insert Russian, but I don't speak Russian, so I'm not going to read it to you. I'm just going to read you the English. Please sign here. I will have your copies available before close of business. I expect the wire transaction completed by noon tomorrow. Maxim jerks back, his glare ready to set me ablaze. Alexei, Nikolai, and Bogdan are mirror images of their older brother. 4 sets of ice blue eyes, narrow, and mouths set in hard lines. You speak like a native. Maxim speaks in Russian-flavored English. The same is true about Maxim's English. His grammar doesn't sound like someone who learned Russian later in life. Something as simple as using a tells me a lot. Russians don't use a, and the like English does. Thank you. Maxim cocks an eyebrow at me. I raise both of mine. I don't owe them an explanation. Let them stew. Do you need a pen? I offer Maxim mine, but he withdraws one from the small pocket near the left lapel of his suit jacket. All the Kutsenkos reviewed the contracts well before they arrived. Maxim skims over them as he puts the pen's tip to the paper, but he freezes. I can't help but grin. I thought it would be faster if I just went ahead and put in the agreed upon amount. I knew the moment he read the agreed upon amount was already typed in as $40 billion. Perhaps you should be our attorney, Nikolai grumbles as he rolls his eyes and shakes his head. I doubt you can afford me. Maxim's eyes jump from the papers he's signing to me. He's still leaning forward, so he looks at me from underneath his dark brow. He takes my words as a challenge, but the heat emanating from his icy eyes has nothing to do with business. His gaze skims over me, resting on my mound before jumping back to meet mine. It won't matter now that our companies merged, Alexei crosses his arms as he rocks the seat back. Our companies did not merge, Mr. Kutsenko. Unlike Mr. Yakovich, I am not in-house counsel. My firm is independent of RK Capital Group. They are my client, not my employer. I watch as the brothers finish signing the documents before Bogdan passes them back to Max. I reach my hand toward them, but not quite halfway. It appears to anyone looking that my arm isn't long enough without leaning forward, but Maxim's glower tells me he understands. He won't ignore my offer, but he knows I'm making him reach more than halfway to meet me. The 5 men file toward the door. Pakin, if I might have a moment. All 5 men freeze, much like they did when they realized I speak fluent Russian. I may have called Maxim boss since he's the CEO of Kutsenko Partners, but they know that's not what I meant. Only a moment, Ms. Doyle. Maxim's snarl makes my panties wetter, as if they weren't already soaked. I wait until only the 2 of us remain in the conference room, but I can see the others waiting in the lobby. I could spend hours searching for how you and your brothers make your money, but I know I won't find anything but shell companies. I don't have the inclination or the time to waste. What I know is that you're the Ivankov Bratva's Kutsiotet. I tell Maxim, Godfather, and my clenches. Since there's no record that your branch even exists beyond a few mentions in police blotters, I can't be sure how you make your money. I don't doubt you'll use RK Group to launder your money, and I couldn't give an ish. But I will tell you that if you use a single building in your holding to warehouse victims of human trafficking, I will bury you. Maxim's hands go to his hips, the gun holster under his left arm showing. It's no accident. He remains silent, and I'm certain he thinks his silence will intimidate me. I cross my arms. I can wait. He takes a step forward, forcing me to tilt my head back to keep our eyes locked on one another. If you know who I am, then you're foolish to make threats. I'm not threatening you, Pakin. I know that would be foolish. I'm promising you. Malishka, baby girl. I throb. His gravelly voice and the term make me ache, but I cut him off before he can continue. I push my luck. Starek, old man. I won't soon forget you, Ms. Doyle. That's rarely a good thing when I remember someone. If only my memory were so good. I can't say the same. Good day, Mr. Kutsenko. I can tell I've pissed him off. My tone, my words, and now my dismissal. But goddamn, he's hot to begin with. He's effing scorching when he broods. Lucky bees who share his bed. He nods and leaves. As I gather my belongings, I consider going to the ladies' room to get myself off. he's hot. To be continued.
That was a hot scene. That's all I have to say. I mean,
Even self-censored, yes.
self-censored even, yes.
I'm having a ton of fun writing Mafia because my historicals are very, very steamy, but I can let it all out with my contemporaries. So if you
I gotta say, I feel like you were also having fun reading it. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, just a little bit. As much fun as I had
Sorry,
writing
I
it.
didn't
So
mean-
if you don't if you're not into high steam with some BDSM, kink, and some profanity, if this is not the series for you, you should check out my historicals.
So I have a question. I'm sorry. What did you say, JF? I totally talked over you.
I'm the same. That series is more like me. I'm very much the steam, all that sort of thing. So finding anything to read that is semi-clean or PG-13 is almost impossible. So there is, when going through this and looking at the chapters, I found 3 pages straight away that I could work with, and then had to try and compromise around that, and the rest is compromising situations.
Thank you both for working so hard for us tonight. We appreciate you being here and being able to share.
So Dylan, after your question, I got a question. Just remind me. Okay. I was going to say, remind me to ask my question.
Okay, try not to forget. Sabine, I would like to know, do you have experience with Russian, or did you have to find someone to help you layer in some Russian terms and things like that?
Yes. So I studied French and Chinese in college and wanted to add Russian, but I was not a linguistics major. There just was no way to add Russian in. So I was already intrigued by it. And each of my books does have Russian in it. And then I always provide the English translation, just like my Scottish Highlanders have Gaelic, and I always put in the English. Mariah Stone is an author who Russian is one of her native languages, and she's been so gracious. I email her or, share the document that has whatever Russian is in my story. She comes back, she corrects any of the grammar that Google Translate didn't get right. She forewarns me just how vulgar some of the phrases I found on the internet are and whether or not I want them. Because apparently I found a really great website that has some that she said probably even mainstream Russian publishers wouldn't use. And I was like, sweet, perfect for Mafia. So yes, I do have somebody who just double checks, because to me, it's really, really important that if I'm going to use this, that I use it correctly. Just like I want my history accurate, I want to make sure I do my due diligence and represent this, accurately as best I can. So, yeah.
Yep.
Nice. Okay, so that actually helps me with my question, which is, you both told us that you are in this same series or box set, correct? So anthology. So how do your worlds connect in this anthology? Like, tell us about it and tell us like what your books are and how they connect with each other.
Would you like me to go first, Sabine?
Sure.
So the series, the anthology is actually Darkest Desires, and it comes out in September. So basically it is a charity anthology going to Alliance Help International. So what it is trying to raise money to stop human trafficking, assault and abuse, and within human trafficking. And it's certainly within the United States, there's been a lot of discussion around this, and certainly we've seen on news here, even here in Australia, about things with human trafficking across the border from Mexico and other countries. So it is looking at damaged heroes and bringing in more of a darker side of things, but like our Mafia side of it, which we both are doing. I think that finding sometimes the anti-hero, as well as that moment of going, right, this is where we can make a change in life, not just going, oh, we're a Mafia man, but we can be good too. Just because I'm Mafia doesn't mean I don't have a heart.
Yeah.
And steam. There's a lot of steam in that one. We're not looking at anything that's PG-13. We are looking at very high steam in it.
And is it available for pre-order? Anna is asking.
Yeah.
It is. It's currently available for a pre-order. It is Darkest Desires anthology, and we are coming out, I believe it's on the 19th of September.
Yeah.
Oh,
I believe it is
nice.
because I'm traveling that day and I'll be away from my computer almost the whole day. So poor timing. I'll be on my way to Nink, ladies.
So what book did you provide for this anthology, Sabine and JF, both of you? What's your titles of the book and the anthology?
So it's not a full-length book. They're shorter contributions for that. So I actually provided an extended scene from Brought the Darling that comes from the couple's honeymoon. So you're seeing part of the story that I didn't elaborate on much in the actual book. You're getting a chance to kind of see the hero and the heroine together. So it's not an extended epilogue because it's not the end, but it's an extended scene that I wrote specifically to contribute.
Nice. What about you, Jeff?
And mine is about, again, looking down that Italian mafia and crossing over with my Seducing series or Seduction series, city series. So mine's Seducing San Francisco. Again, a shorter version of what will be the overall book as it comes out. And it's related to a CEO of a San Francisco tech company and from Silicon Valley, certainly down there in the San Jose area. And he also owns a BDSM club. So we're looking down how his father may be siphoning money laundering through the club and through the business, and certainly things such as arms trades and things like that. So we are going fairly dark, but as you can tell with the BDSM club, it also gets very high heat level. Very high heat level.
Nice.
Excellent. I think we just have one more question, so I'm gonna squeeze it in real quick. Okay, Dawn.
Let's do it.
I know we're at time, but I didn't want to leave just one. So Deanna wants to know: do you find ideas and inspiration come to you at random times, or do you just know what you're going to write about? So who would like to tackle that one first?
I love that. Mine are very random, to the point where I was watching what they call Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or Hot Seat here in Australia, which is before our nightly news, and a question came up about a song, and that was the inspiration for a book. The next ones where I will just be somewhere and go, oh, look at that, that's a book, and for the next 20 minutes I'll be plotting it out on my phone. And my husband will be asking, well, we're here for dinner. What are you doing? So very random for me. Or the other side of it, all the cities that we went to. So it just happened to fall into place.
You know, for me, ever since I was a little kid, I would have kind of like these vignette scenes right before I would fall asleep. And it kind of helped me to just decompress and relax and let my mind drift off rather than, worrying about whatever else needed to be done. And I used to ignore them. I was just like, it's just my imagination wandering. And then as I got closer to wanting to write, I was like, well, maybe I should actually pay attention to some of these. So now I kind of have a rule where if the same scene comes to me at least twice, and it's not always an opening scene, it can be somewhere else in the story, but if it comes to me at least twice, then I know that there's a story to be built out of that. I write in series, so a lot of times one story will then kind of help nurture the seed for the next one. Something will build out of it. I might see something on TV or in a movie or another book that makes me go, aha, I could take that and go this direction and build it into something, completely unique. But a lot of it just comes from letting my mind wander right before I go to sleep so that I'm not thinking about, hey, I have those quarterly taxes to pay tomorrow. I'd much rather be coming up with a sex scene than thinking about that. So.
Right.
So what you're saying is I shouldn't shut off my brain with wine every night.
I mean,
Oh, no,
I
you
should
know,
let
that
it
is-
go
if,
and
if
let
those
it just.
if that is your creative juice, because you know it's basically grape juice, then go for it. Let it flow.
You keep the wine.
No, I have
Definitely
to
keep
shut
the
it
wine.
off. See, the wine shuts the creative juices off because otherwise I would stay up all night long thinking. And then I wake up at 3 a.m. anyways thinking. So like I get up at 3 or 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I
let
was
the
up at
juices
4:30
flow.
this morning because my brain was already raring to go. I mean,
I'm so glad I'm
Oh,
not the
you
only
are all
one.
doing better than me. My time up this morning was 10 a.m. and we had to be on here on 11 my time. So it was well and truly done.
Well, we're glad that you made it despite the massive time difference.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
thanks to both of you for being with us tonight. We appreciate it.
Well,
Thanks
with
for
that,
having
we
me.
are 8 minutes past the time. So yeah, we should probably pop off here. But again, like Dylan said, thank you so much for coming. And you were, was it Sabine where you were saying something? I'm sorry. One of you was saying something, I interrupted. But thank you. So you can get say JF and Sabine both have giveaways going on our page. Pop over there and enter their giveaways. Do you guys remember what you're giving away?
Yeah.
I'm giving away a $5 gift card, but I also have a much bigger giveaway that's going on. I think that must have been Sarah in the chat who, thank you very much, popped in the link to it. It's a huge raffle that's going on. There's lots of really wonderful naughty stuff in the box, inspired by Dylan's method of doing her big boxes. So we were at a
that kind of
together, and she told me all about how she does these boxes, and I was like, I'm going to learn how to do that too. So $5 gift card, and then there's also the really big one going on separately.
Do you have that linked on? I mean, it's linked in the comments here, but if you want to, we'll put that up on the page too to make sure people know.
I would appreciate that.
Definitely. Yeah.
And mine is the print copy of It's Always Been You, a charity anthology that came out in July with the New Romance Cafe. So, and again, it's the same group that we were doing Darkest Desires with, but this one's for breast cancer. So
Great.
And
amazing.
That'll be a print copy.
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome.
Well, we will leave those open through the weekend. So head over to the Facebook page to get your entry in for that. And we'll be back in 2 weeks for our other August show. And anything else? You got anything else tonight, Dawn?
I'm good tonight. Yeah.
All right. Well, Sabine and Jeff. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Dawn loses energy at the end of the show.
I do. It's my wine. It's my second glass of wine that gets me.
So, but we appreciate you being with us, and for everybody else, come back 2 weeks from tonight. We'll be here with our second episode in August, and we hope to see you then.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Good night.